course, it's nice not to have to click around all the time to make sure that our links are still working. So what I'm going to do as a final step is write a test for the layout links. This is our first example of what's called an integration test. It's an integrated test of everything that's going on in our system. They're really powerful and will be one of our main tools for testing Rails applications. Let's get started by generating a new test. So let's look at this here. The way we make an integration test is with Rails generate integration test, and then the name of the test. So this is going to be an integration test of the site layout. So let's just call it site layout. If you look at the output here, you might notice that Rails automatically appended this underscore test. So we gave it an argument, which was the name of the test, and it said, well, we know this is a test, so let's call it site layout test. So let's add in that test. Move this over here, and let's take a look at all right, it's not showing up. That's an indication that I need to refresh it here. There it is. Split it. So this is our generated test. Let's just get rid of this here. I'm going to say test layout links. And the method actually, that lack of indentation was a sign that there was something wrong. This is a block. It's test do. There we go. All right, the way we're going to test this is to basically replicate this process. So if I go to the home page and I inspect it, I can look around and say, oh, well, does the link and the header work? It's like, is this right? So here's slash, this is the root path. I can say in here, there's also the root path right here. Here, this is the help path. So what I'm going to do is write a test that checks to make sure that these anchor tags, these A's, are present on the page and that they have the right hrefs. So let's start by issuing a GET request to the root path. You can see we can use the named route here in the test. And just as a sanity check, I'm going to make sure that this actually renders the home page. This is a test of this association here. The way to do that is with assert template. And it's the static pages controller / home. So this is not the same notation. This is not the hash sign. This is just the path. So if I save that, it should be green. We're actually writing this test after the application code. So at all points, when I make any of these changes, the test suite should be green. If it goes red, it means I've made a mistake in my test. Either that or there's a mistake in the implementation. But this should be green the whole way through if the implementation is right and if the tests are right. The next step is to use the assert select method, which we've seen before. Let's take a look at static pages controller test. This is assert select. This is the title tag, and then it verifies that the contents of the title tag are correct. We're going to use a slightly more advanced variant of assert select. So let's look for the root path. So what I'm going to look for here is an anchor tag, and I want to actually test the href. And the way that assert select works is that you can say href equals and then have a question mark inside of, so you have put this inside of these square brackets, and then you give it the URL you want to test. So what it'll do here is it'll just insert this root path into this question mark. We'll substitute it. It actually does some escaping, so this is better than interpolating. And in fact, I think interpolating doesn't actually work right now. Let's save this and see if it works. So that's green. I think this used to work, and then it stopped working. Oh, it gives me a deprecation warning. So I don't know if that will still be the case with you, but in any case, it's better to do it this way with this question mark because it handles escaping automatically. let's look at the other assertions. We can just copy this. They're all going to be very similar. All of this stuff is exactly the same in here. All this is exactly the same. We're just going to change these guys. This is help path. So the other ones are about path, and root path here is contact path. So if we save this, it should still be green. There we go. So what this is doing is testing to make sure that the links up here are right, that this is here. And actually, we're actually not testing this particular link. That's really a question of how much detail you want to put in, because if we change this, we could break the application. This would still work. Right, it's still going to be green, because what this test here is picking up this this path here. It says, oh, there is a root path somewhere on the page. We could actually tell it that there should be two of them. And now it's red, so we could actually do this here. In fact, that's nice enough. I think I'll put it in the book. We'll actually be using this count later on, because if you want to show that there isn't such a path, if you want to make sure that this doesn't appear, one way to do it is to put count 0 here. All right, now that we've got an integration test written, let's just run the full test suite to double check that we're green, and we are. And just as a reminder, you can do this at the command line too. If we want to run just the integration test, we can run bundle exec rake test integration. And if we want, we can rerun the full test suite, just getting rid of this part. Having an integration test like this is a great way to catch regressions later on. If we happen to make a mistake and change something on this page, this test will catch it right away. At this point, our home page is looking pretty good. It's really coming together. We've got some styling here. We've got links. Click around, I think. There we go.